Hi, Jeff here, and today I'd like to talk to you about the problem with party politics. Not the usual arguing and bickering back and forth about the fact that the other guys are horrifying and evil and doing everything wrong, but irrespective of whatever they're doing. That's not what I want to talk to you about. It's how party politics has taken over Parliament, and now Parliament is not about the people; it's about parties and party ideology. And so that's for the longest time now we've understood that, well, that's what you're voting for. Which ideological party do you want? But I remember back in the day, a number of votes going where they would not list the party member. You would have to part of the party that a candidate was associated with. You would have to just know. At least back then, you'd have to know the actual name of your local candidate. A lot of times, you vote, you don't even know the name of your local candidate because you don't care, because you understand they're just there to do the will of the party leader, which is not right. Which leads me to the biggest problem I have with party politics is the fact of the muzzling of the MPs, MLAs. I'll talk about MPs, but MLAs are the same way. MPs are members of Parliament. That's the federal government. MLAs are members of the Legislative Assembly. They're the provincial or territorial governments, that level. City politics, we don't have party politics in there yet. There are a few, I think in Alberta, they're talking about bringing them in to allow them to, or I think in Alberta they might have allowed it, parties to organize and run for city, municipal. Either way, it'll be the same way either way. I'm going to talk about Parliament because that's what affects most people, but it's the same in both. So what happens is that if you're a member of a party, to run for that party, there's the party leader. The party leader gets elected as party leader, whether they're in Parliament or not. They can be, like, for example, Naheed Nenshi is the leader of the Alberta NDP, but he's not a member of the Alberta legislature because he was the former mayor of Calgary, quite popular. And then he moved on to federal politics, Alberta provincial politics after Rachel Notley left. My money is on the fact that she's waiting for Jagmeet Singh, who's the leader of the federal NDP, to blow up and fail and just kind of pull out of politics before she can then move in and become the leader of the NDP federally. Because I think she'd probably do well in that role. I'm not sure. Again, I'm trying to be as neutral as possible as I speak about these politics and party members. But anyways, so you have the party leaders elected at a convention of that party, within that party, not by anyone, only by members of the party. They're not fine. They have to then win their seat. Okay, like everybody else. And so if you're the leader of that party, then you lead that party in Parliament. Okay, great. Good for you. Congratulations on your win. What happens is that if you're the party leader, then if anyone wants to run as leader of whatever party, let's say the Rhinoceros Party, right, just a made-up party, then as a leader of the Rhinoceros Party, you have to sign their paperwork. Not have to, but for them to run, they need you to sign their paperwork. Now, party leaders, they're not stupid. They'll use that as leverage to say, I'll sign it this time, but you better do what I say from this election to the next, or I'm not going to sign it again, and you'll be out. You don't have to run as an independent, which is political wasteland, and unless you're really well known yourself, you're not going to get elected. That is. So then what we end up with is now all these MLAs, they must do, MPs, MLAs, they have to do what the party leader says, period. They have to do what they have to. So the party leader says, you're going to stand up and say this. Okay. You're going to vote for this. Okay. Doesn't matter if it's the best thing for their constituency or not. That's irrelevant. You have to obey the party leader. And the party leader is obeying their ideology, their own personal one, as long as it's loosely within the. And as far as to get rid of a party leader, there's varying rules. It's up to the party itself to remove the party leader. And if the party leader happens to be the prime minister forming government, then you can't, like for the Liberals, there is no mechanism to remove a party leader without a convention. So, as we just saw, Trudeau, like his entire cabinet caucus, sat there and said, buddy, you got to go. You got to go. You're going to sink us. And he said, no. And there's nothing they could do. They could do various dirty tricks, I suppose. All of them quit cabinet and say, We're not serving. See ya. We're not serving under you at all. And then you have no cabinet, and he'd be omni minister, because he probably would do that and say, "Fine, I'll just take on all the roles. I don't care." He's waiting for something. I don't know what. He's not afraid of the next election, and that scares me. That concerns me. So we have these party leaders with total power, and these MPs with no power. They just do what they're told when they're told how they're told. They run their departments as they're told, not really within their purview. You have it. This is what you're supposed to do, and you have to do it. And I got in a Twitter fight yesterday with a guy who was saying, or someone, anyways, who said, "Oh, you just don't understand. It's a work situation. It's a business situation. You have to do what the leader says, anyways. What world do you live in?" And here's what he's saying. Okay, I understand what you're saying, but there's one slight detail which has been lost in all of this for decades. Members of Parliament are supposed to be representatives of the people to Parliament. They're not supposed to be salesmen of the party to the people. They're supposed to represent the people and what they want and what your people in that constituency want. That's what you're supposed to do. That's what you're intended to do. You're supposed to give the people a voice in Parliament. Not just simply do whatever the party says and say, you're going to vote to nuke your own riding because that's what your party leader said. Maybe figuratively, vote to get rid of the largest employer in town. Oh, well, that's what the party leader said I was supposed to vote, so I'm going to vote that way. Oh, well. It doesn't matter if I get elected again, because, gosh, I worked my 8 whole years and I got a full pension of, 6 figures. Like, are you kidding me? How did that happen? Oh, right, because the guys who make the rules control the money, and they said, yeah, we'd like that. I still say that any elected official should be treated, that job should be treated as contract employment. If you were not reelected, your contract was not renewed. That's it. Too bad, so sad. Suck it up, deal with it. If you want to know, if you think that's not fair, ask anyone who's actually done a job with contract employment. So that's what as I say, the core problem, one of the many problems with the parliamentary system, is that we are not represented. They tell us that we're represented, and they always say, "Oh, Canadians want us to do this, and Canadians want us to do that." That's a general poll, and they skew it any way they want to get the answer that they want to do their own agenda, and they'll even just make it up, just say, "Oh yeah, you want me to do this? Yeah, you do. Trust me, you do." Even though we don't. We're saying, "Hi, we're having these problems." Yeah, you're fine. Shut up. So we don't have true representation. Now, for Parliament to function, you do need to have parties, yes, so people can have a better understanding as to where you ideologically stand. But I think there should be more. You're getting the nomination for that riding should reside within the power solely should be within that riding. Only members of the party within that riding should vote on you getting the nomination. Period. It should not have anything to do with the central party. It should have nothing to do with the party leader, because it should be the people within that riding who are members of that party to say, "We want Bob. We want Sally. We want Ranjit. I don't care. Whatever. Whoever. It should be the local people of that riding have the final and only say as to, and there you go. I mean, if you break some party, I mean, there are times when you have to get kicked out of the party, or fine. If there were those kind of things, so there can be some games where Bob, Sally, whoever is yep, got the nomination and got elected, and the party leader says, "I am so not working with you because you're not going to do what I say. Get out of the party." So there could be that. You'd have to have some sort of appeals process or some sort of clearly defined, for these reasons you can get kicked out, not just, "I don't like you." I don't know. Discuss. But we need to change things because we're not being represented. We're being told we're being represented, but we're just being talked to, sold to, not actually listened to. Our representatives are not our representatives, and that is one of the many things that I want to change. Again, to do that, I need a meeting with the premiers. I'm not kidding. I have a plan, and that's why I'm doing this. I'm not doing this to try to make a living as a YouTuber for one reason and one reason only. I want to fix my country, our country. And to do that, I need a meeting with all 13 premiers of all provinces and territories in order to say, this is the plan, convince them of it, and then start to do it. We can do this. Thank you.